They ignored you, doubted you, and left you alone, while life seemed to move forward without you. But all along, something extraordinary was being prepared just for you. You feel it, don't you? That silent shift in your heart, that strange pull in your life that no one else can see. People around you are confused, lost in their own paths, while heaven itself is quietly stunned at what's about to happen. Because you are not like them. You were chosen, selected, and positioned for a purpose so rare, so precise, that even the unseen world is holding its breath. And today is the day that what has been hidden will begin to reveal itself. Lesson 1. You were chosen in silence, not in spotlight. Your selection didn't come with applause or recognition, and that's what made it so confusing for you, because you expected that if something good was happening in your life, people would support you, notice you, or at least understand you. But instead, the opposite happened. You were slowly pulled away from people, from environments, and even from versions of yourself that once felt comfortable. And it felt painful, because you didn't understand why everything familiar was being taken from you. While others were being celebrated openly, you were being tested privately. While others were being accepted and praised, you were being misunderstood, judged, and sometimes even rejected for reasons you couldn't explain. And in those moments, you started questioning yourself, wondering if something was wrong with you, wondering why your life felt harder, heavier, and more lonely than others. But what you couldn't see at that time was that Allah was not punishing you, He was protecting your focus. Because if you had the same noise, distractions, and constant validation that others had, you would never be able to hear the guidance that was meant specifically for you. Your isolation was not a sign that you were losing people. It was a sign that you were being redirected. Your silence was not emptiness. It was a space being created for clarity, for growth, and for a deeper connection with Allah. The loneliness you felt was not abandonment, it was alignment, slowly positioning you away from what could weaken you and closer to what is meant to strengthen you. This is why your journey feels so different, so heavy at times, and so deeply personal, because it was never designed to be ordinary. You were never meant to follow the crowd, or live a life based on approval from others. You were pulled away on purpose, step by step, so you could be rebuilt in a way that others would not understand, and prepared for a level of purpose, strength, and responsibility that only a few are ever trusted with. And one day, you will look back and realize that the silence you once feared was actually the place where you were being transformed the most. Lesson 2. Your pain was not punishment, it was precision. Every hardship you went through had a purpose, even the ones that broke you to your core and made you question everything about your life. Because in those moments, it didn't feel like growth, it felt like loss, confusion, and sometimes even injustice. You went through situations where people betrayed you, where things didn't work out no matter how hard you tried, where doors kept closing in your face, and it made you wonder why your path felt so much harder compared to others who seemed to move forward so easily. But what you couldn't see at that time is that Allah was not being harsh with you. He was being precise with you. Nothing you experienced was random or meaningless. Every delay, every rejection, every heartbreak was carefully placed in your life to shape your mindset, strengthen your character, and purify your intentions. While others were allowed to stay comfortable, you were pushed into discomfort again and again, not to break you, but to build a version of you that cannot be shaken by anything in this world. Because real strength is not created in ease, it is created in pressure, in those moments where you feel like giving up but still choose to keep going. The pain you felt was teaching you lessons that comfort never could. It was showing you who to trust and who to walk away from. It was removing illusions, exposing realities, and forcing you to grow in ways you never expected. And even though it hurt, even though it felt unfair, every tear you cried was cleansing your heart, and every struggle you faced was strengthening your soul. What felt like you were losing everything was actually you being stripped of everything that could not go with you to the next level Allah has prepared for you. Because what is coming into your life requires a stronger, wiser, and more disciplined version of you, and that version could only be created through the pain you were trying so hard to avoid. Lesson 3. People could not understand you because they were not meant to. You spent so much time trying to explain yourself to people who were never meant to understand you, and that is where a lot of your frustration came from, because in your heart you knew your intentions were pure, your vision was clear, and your actions had meaning. But no matter how much you tried to express it, people still misunderstood you, judged you, or saw you in a completely different way than who you truly are. You tried to fit into conversations that felt shallow. You tried to shrink your thoughts so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. You tried to act normal just to be accepted, but deep down, it always felt wrong. Like you were betraying something inside yourself just to be seen by people who could never truly see you. And the truth is, the reason they couldn't understand you is not because you failed to explain, it's because they were never given the level of awareness, depth, and perspective that you carry. You are thinking differently, seeing differently, and feeling things on a level that most people are not operating on, and that naturally creates distance between you and them. While others are focused on surface-level things, you are focused on meaning, purpose, and truth. While others are comfortable following the crowd, you are constantly questioning, reflecting, and searching for something deeper. And because of that, your presence alone challenges people, even when you say nothing, because you represent something they are not ready to become. This is why they label you as different, too much, or even strange, because it is easier for them to judge you than to understand you. But what you must realize now is that your difference is not your weakness, it is your assignment. You were not created to blend in with everyone else, or to live a life based on their expectations. You were designed to stand apart, to think independently, and to walk a path that requires courage, self-awareness, and trust in Allah. And once you fully accept that not everyone is meant to understand you, you stop seeking validation from people who cannot see your value, and you start embracing your uniqueness as a sign that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Because the moment you stop trying to be understood by everyone is the moment you finally understand yourself, and that is where your real power begins. Lesson 4. Your silence is what shifted everything. There came a moment in your life where you got tired, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally tired of explaining yourself, tired of defending your intentions, tired of reacting to every misunderstanding, every insult, and every situation that tried to pull you out of your peace. And without even realizing it at first, you slowly started choosing silence over reaction, distance over argument, and control over chaos. And that decision, even though it felt small in the beginning, started changing everything around you in ways you did not expect. Because silence is not weakness, like people think. It is a form of power that only those who have strong self-control can maintain. When you stopped reacting, you stopped feeding negativity. When you stopped explaining, you stopped seeking validation. When you stopped chasing, you started attracting. And suddenly, the same people who once ignored you began to notice your absence. The same people who underestimated you began to question your strength, because your silence created a presence that your words never could. This is a principle deeply rooted in the way Allah teaches His servants through patience and restraint. And even in the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we see this powerful example where he faced mockery, rejection, and harsh treatment from his people, yet he did not respond with anger or revenge. but with patience, dignity, and trust in Allah's plan. And through that restraint, his message became stronger, his character became unmatched, and his impact became unstoppable. Your silence is working in the same way. It is building something within you that people cannot see yet, but they can feel it. It is giving you emotional control, mental clarity, and spiritual strength. Because when you master the ability to stay calm in situations that once triggered you, you reach a level of power where nothing external can disturb your inner peace. And this is why everything began to shift in your life the moment you chose silence, because you were no longer operating from emotion, you were operating from alignment. You were no longer reacting, you were observing. You were no longer chasing, you were trusting. And in that state, you become unshakable, because your strength is no longer dependent on people, but rooted in your connection with Allah. And once you reach that level, you don't need to prove anything to anyone anymore, because your presence alone speaks louder than anything you could ever say. Lesson 5. What is coming to you will shock everyone around you. If you're being honest with yourself, it doesn't look like much is happening in your life, and that's what makes this phase so difficult to endure, because from the outside it may seem like you are stuck, like you are not progressing, like your efforts are not being rewarded, and like everyone else is somehow moving ahead while you are left behind in silence, waiting for something that hasn't arrived yet. And that feeling can slowly start to affect your mind, making you question your path, your purpose, and even your trust in what Allah has planned for you. But what you cannot see, and this is the part that requires real faith, is that your life right now is being prepared behind the scenes in a way that is far greater than anything you could imagine, because Allah does not work in ways that are always visible or immediate. He works in layers, in timing, in precision, aligning things that you cannot yet connect, placing people, removing distractions, building your character, and shaping your environment so that when your moment finally arrives, it will not just be good, it will be undeniable. The reason it feels slow is because what is being prepared for you is not small, and things that carry weight require time to be built properly. Because if everything came to you too early, without the strength, discipline, and understanding you have now gained through your struggles, it would either overwhelm you or be taken away from you just as quickly as it came. This is why your journey has been filled with delays, setbacks, and moments where you felt like giving up, because each one of those moments was stretching your patience, strengthening your mindset, and teaching you how to handle what is coming next, even when you didn't realize it at the time. And while you were going through all of this internally, people around you were only seeing the surface. They only saw your quiet phase, your struggles, your losses, and they made their judgments based on that limited view. Some of them thought you had failed, some of them underestimated you, and some of them completely overlooked you, believing that your story had already reached its peak. But what they failed to understand is that your life was not in a declining phase, it was in a hidden preparation phase. A phase where the most important changes happen out of sight, where foundations are built in silence before anything is revealed publicly. And this is why what is coming into your life will shock them, because they were not there when you were being shaped. They did not see the nights you spent thinking deeply, reflecting, growing, and rebuilding yourself from within. They did not feel the weight of your struggles or understand the lessons you were learning through your pain. And so, when your breakthrough finally happens, when doors start opening for you, when opportunities begin to align, and when your life starts to elevate in a way that is visible and undeniable, it will not make sense to them, because they only saw your struggle. They never saw your preparation. What is coming to you is not just a reward for your patience, it is a revelation of your transformation. It is proof that everything you went through had a purpose, that every delay had meaning, and that every moment you felt like you were being held back was actually a moment where you were being positioned more precisely for what is meant for you. And when this shift happens, it will not require you to explain yourself to anyone, because your results will speak in a way that words never could. The same people who once doubted you will begin to question how you reached this level. The same people who ignored you will suddenly become aware of your presence, and the same people who thought they understood your limits will realize they never truly knew you at all. But the most important shift will not be in how they see you, it will be in how you see yourself. Because by that time, you will no longer be seeking validation, approval, or recognition from anyone. You will have already built a level of inner confidence and certainty that comes from knowing that everything you have now was given to you by Allah at the exact moment you were ready for it. And this is why you must remain patient in this phase, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels slow, and even when your mind tries to convince you that nothing is happening. Because everything is happening, just not in a way that is visible yet. And the moment it becomes visible, it will happen so quickly and so powerfully that it will make you realize why it had to take this long. Because what Allah is preparing for you is not temporary, it is not weak, and it is not something that can be easily taken away. It is something solid, something meaningful, and something that will change not only your life, but the way you understand your entire journey. And when that moment arrives, you will look back at this phase, the waiting, the confusion, the silence, and instead of seeing it as a time of being stuck, you will see it as the most important part of your transformation, the part where you were being built into someone capable of receiving what most people are not ready to handle. Lesson 6. You are being positioned for responsibility, not just blessings. One of the biggest shifts you must understand in your journey is this. What you are being prepared for is not just about receiving blessings, it is about carrying responsibility. And this is where your path becomes completely different from the majority of people, because most people pray for ease, comfort, and success, without realizing that every true blessing from Allah comes with a weight that must be carried with discipline, patience, and strength. And if a person is not prepared internally, that same blessing can become a burden that breaks them instead of elevates them. This is why your life has not been easy. And this is why you have been tested in ways that others around you may not understand. Because Allah is not just giving you something, He is preparing you to sustain it, to protect it, and to use it in the right way. Think about it deeply. The delays you faced were not just about waiting, they were about building patience. The struggles you went through were not just random hardships, they were developing resilience. And the moments where you felt lost were actually moments where your reliance on Allah was being strengthened. Because the higher the responsibility, the stronger the foundation needs to be, and Allah never places a heavy responsibility on someone who is weak in character or unstable in their mindset. While others may receive quickly and lose just as quickly, your process has been slow and intense, because what is coming into your life is meant to stay, and anything that is meant to stay must be built on discipline, self-control, and awareness. This is why you were forced to learn lessons that were uncomfortable, like letting go of people you were attached to, controlling your emotions when you wanted to react, staying patient when everything inside you wanted immediate results, and trusting Allah even when you could not see any clear direction. Because these are not just random lessons, these are qualities of someone who is being prepared to handle something greater than average. Most people fail not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack the discipline to maintain it. They lack the mindset to handle pressure, and they lack the awareness to use their position correctly. But you are being trained differently. You are being taught how to think before you act, how to stay calm under pressure, how to move with intention instead of emotion, and how to remain grounded even when things start going in your favor. Because true elevation is not just about rising, it is about staying elevated without losing yourself in the process. And this is where many people misunderstand the concept of being chosen. They think it means an easy path, constant blessings, and visible success. But in reality, it means accountability, responsibility, and a higher standard of living. Because once Allah gives you something, you are expected to handle it with integrity, to use it wisely, and to remain grateful and humble no matter how much you receive. This is why your character has been tested so deeply, because your character will determine whether you can carry what is written for you or not. Your mindset will determine whether you grow with your blessings or become consumed by them. And your discipline will determine whether what you receive becomes something lasting or something temporary. You are being positioned to become someone who can handle influence without becoming arrogant. Someone who can experience success without forgetting their purpose, and someone who can carry responsibility without collapsing under pressure. And that level of preparation is not easy. It requires sacrifice, it requires patience, and it requires a level of self-control that most people are not willing to develop. There were moments where you felt like you were being restricted, like you were being held back from things you wanted, but in reality, you were being protected from situations that could have distracted you or weakened you before you were ready, because not everything that looks like an opportunity is actually good for you, and not every door that opens should be walked through. And Allah, in His wisdom, closed certain paths in your life, not to deny you, but to guide you towards something more aligned with your purpose. And as you move forward, you will begin to notice a shift in how you think and how you act. You will become more intentional with your time, more careful with your energy, and more focused on what truly matters, because you are no longer living just for temporary satisfaction. You are preparing for something long-term, something meaningful, something that carries weight not just in this life, but in the hereafter. And once you fully understand that your journey is about responsibility, not just reward, everything changes. You stop complaining about your tests, you stop comparing your path to others, and you start embracing your process with a sense of purpose, because you realize that Allah is not just giving you something to enjoy, He is preparing you to become someone worthy of carrying it. And when that moment finally arrives, when the doors open and the blessings begin to flow into your life, you will not be overwhelmed, you will not be careless, and you will not lose control, because by that time, you will have already become the person who can handle it. And that is the real transformation, when what you receive externally matches who you have become internally. Lesson 7. You are the only one who can walk this path. There comes a moment in your journey where you finally realize something that changes everything, something that removes confusion, comparison, and even a lot of your internal struggle. And that truth is this: you are the only one who can walk the path that has been written for you. And no matter how much you try to explain it, compare it, or even sometimes escape it, you will always be brought back to it, because it was designed specifically for you, with your strengths, your weaknesses, your experiences, your pain, and your potential, all taken into account in a way that no one else in this world could ever replicate. For so long, you may have looked at others and wondered why their life seemed easier, why their path seemed clearer, why they had support where you had silence, why they had direction where you had confusion, and those thoughts slowly made you question your own journey, making you feel like you were behind, like you were missing something, or like you were somehow doing life the wrong way. But what you didn't realize is that you were measuring your path using standards that were never meant for you, because their journey is built for their purpose, and your journey is built for yours. And the moment you try to live someone else's path, you disconnect from your own. Your life has been so specific, so detailed, and at times so intense, because it is not random, it is intentional. Every delay you faced, every person who walked away, every situation that forced you to grow, it all carries meaning, it all connects, and it is all shaping you into someone who can fulfill a role that no one else can fill. There were moments where you felt completely alone, like no one truly understood what you were going through, like you were carrying something that you couldn't even put into words. And that loneliness made you question whether you were meant to walk this path at all. But the reality is, some paths are meant to be walked alone, not because you are abandoned, but because the level of growth, awareness, and strength required cannot be developed in a crowd. It can only be developed in solitude, where you are forced to face yourself, understand yourself, and build a connection with Allah that is not dependent on anyone else. And this is why your journey required separation. This is why it required silence. And this is why it required moments of deep reflection. Because you were not just being guided externally, you were being built internally, layer by layer, into someone who can stand alone without feeling empty. Someone who can move forward without needing constant validation. And someone who can trust Allah's plan, even when it makes no sense to anyone else around you. You may have tried at times to take easier paths, to follow what others were doing, to fit into systems that felt more comfortable or more accepted. But every time you did, something inside you felt off, like you were moving away from something important, and eventually, life itself pushed you back onto your original path, sometimes gently, sometimes forcefully, but always in a way that reminded you that you cannot escape what has been written for you. And this is not something to fear, it is something to understand. Because once you accept that your path is unique and non-transferable, you stop wasting energy trying to compare yourself to others. You stop feeling insecure about your timing, and you stop questioning why your life looks different, because you realize that different does not mean wrong. It means specific, it means intentional, and it means chosen. What Allah has written for you cannot be taken by someone else. It cannot be delayed by people's opinions, and it cannot be blocked by circumstances. Because it is not dependent on them, it is dependent on His will. And when something is written for you by Allah, it will reach you in the exact moment that you are ready for it, not a moment too early and not a moment too late. This understanding gives you a different kind of peace, a peace that does not come from having everything figured out, but from trusting that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even when you cannot see the full picture yet. And as you continue walking this path, you will start to notice that you are becoming more comfortable with yourself, more confident in your decisions, and more focused on your own growth, instead of being distracted by what others are doing, because you are no longer trying to live multiple lives at once. You are fully stepping into your own. This is where your true power begins, not when everything around you changes, but when your mindset changes. When you stop seeing your uniqueness as a burden and start seeing it as a responsibility. When you stop feeling isolated and start feeling selected. When you stop doubting your path and start owning it with full belief and trust in Allah. Because the truth is, you were never meant to have a common life. You were never meant to follow a predictable pattern, and you were never meant to be easily understood by everyone around you. Your journey carries a level of depth and purpose that requires you to think differently, move differently, and live differently. And once you fully accept that, you stop resisting your reality and start working with it. And this is when everything begins to align. Not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you become stronger, clearer, and more grounded in who you are and what you are meant to do. You begin to move with intention instead of confusion, with trust instead of fear, and with patience instead of frustration, because you understand that your path is not something you need to rush or control, it is something you need to walk with awareness and faith. And as you continue forward, step by step, Even when the path feels uncertain, even when the results are not immediate, you carry a quiet confidence within you, knowing that you are exactly where you are meant to be, doing exactly what you are meant to do, and becoming exactly who you are meant to become. And one day, when you look back at your journey, all the confusion, all the delays, all the moments of doubt will finally make sense, and you will realize that nothing was wasted, nothing was random, and nothing was out of place. It was all part of a perfectly designed path that could only be walked by you, because you were the only one created for it, the only one prepared for it, and the only one capable of fulfilling it. Conclusion. So understand this clearly and let it settle deep within you. Your life is not random. Your struggles were not meaningless. And the path you have been walking is not a mistake. It is a carefully designed journey, written by Allah, long before you ever took your first breath. And every moment you felt confused, delayed, isolated, or tested was not a sign that you were being forgotten, but a sign that you were being prepared in a way that most people will never experience or understand. You were not chosen for an easy life. You were chosen for a meaningful one, and that meaning comes with challenges that shape you, silence that strengthens you, and moments that force you to grow into someone you never imagined you could become. Right now, you might still be in that phase where things don't fully make sense, where you are waiting for clarity, waiting for your moment, waiting for something to finally shift. But what you need to realize is that the shift is already happening within you. Because before Allah changes your situation, He changes you. And once you are aligned internally, nothing external can stop what is written for you from reaching you. The people who doubted you, misunderstood you, or overlooked you, they were never part of your final destination. They were part of your preparation. And one day, without you needing to explain anything, your life will reflect everything you went through, every lesson you learned, and every moment you chose patience over giving up. The only question that remains now is this: will you continue to doubt the process, or will you finally trust that you were chosen for a reason? Because the moment you fully accept that, the moment you stop resisting and start aligning, is the moment everything begins to unfold in ways you cannot even imagine yet. If this message reached you at the right time, then it was not by accident. It was meant to find you exactly where you are. Stay patient, stay disciplined, and most importantly, stay connected to Allah, because what is coming next in your life is not ordinary. It is something that will reveal exactly why you had to go through everything you did.